He died with dirt in his mouth and a betrayal in his chest. Not a hero's death, not even a soldier's, just a man left to rot inside a tomb by the very people he bled for. And the last thing he saw before darkness took him was the face of someone who smiled while he fell. Most men stay dead. Seo Joo-Heon came back. The tomb had barely finished swallowing him when something ancient, something older than the relics and the power and the whole rotten system he had served, reached into the dark and pulled him 15 years into the past. No explanation, no rules, just rage and a second chance sharp enough to cut the world open with. And here's where this story stops being about survival. Here is where it becomes about something far more dangerous. The world of Tomb Raider King is not kind about what it worships. Mysterious tombs began appearing across the earth one day, without warning, buried gifts from gods long dead, each one housing a relic of terrifying power. Control a relic, and you control people. Control enough relics, and you control nations. The powerful got more powerful. The weak got crushed beneath boots that never learned their names. And inside that world, Seo Joo-Heon was exceptional. A raider so gifted, so instinctively brilliant at breaking into the impossible, that even the relics themselves seemed to lean toward him like a flame leans toward open air. His employer saw that gift clearly, and decided it was easier to bury it than share it. The betrayal wasn't loud. It never is when someone truly means it. One new relic, one engineered moment, and the man who had given everything to Kwon Tae-jun's organization was left dying inside a tomb with no rescue coming, no witnesses, and no record that he had ever mattered at all. But death, it seems, had other plans. He woke up 15 years earlier, young again, unknown again, standing at the exact moment before the first tomb ever appeared on Earth. And for a single breath, you might think that the story becomes about redemption, about a broken man choosing to be better, about wounds healing instead of festering. You would be wrong. Joo-Heon did not come back to be better. He came back to burn everything down in the correct order. This is the line that separates him from every other regression protagonist. Sung Jin-Woo, the Shadow Monarch, the boy who began as the weakest hunter alive. His transformation was a becoming. Layer by layer, power stacking on a grief hardening into something silent and unbreakable. Jin-Woo carried his pain like a man carries a scar, quietly, with purpose. Every step forward was a step further from the boy who used to get left behind. Joo-Heon never wanted to leave that boy behind. He wanted that boy to watch every single enemy fall. Where Jin-Woo grew into his power like a river finding the sea, Joo-Heon detonated into his like a man who had already decided the world owed him every single thing it had ever taken. He was cunning before he was strong. He was ruthless before he was feared. He walked back into the world not as a predator discovering his teeth, but as a predator who had always had them, who had simply been waiting for permission to use them. And he stopped waiting. And this is where most people stop paying attention. Don't, because what he does next is not what any story like this is supposed to do. He does not climb to the top to protect people. He does not build a team because he trusts them. He collects allies the way he collects relics, with calculation, with patience, and with the cold understanding that everything and everyone has a use, and his job is simply to figure out what that use is before they figure out his. He runs scams on world leaders. He manipulates enemies into destroying each other. He walks into rooms full of power and leaves them full of chaos, and he does it all with the energy of a man who finds the whole thing slightly beneath him. And somewhere underneath all of that, so far underneath that most readers miss it the first time, is grief. Real grief. The kind that does not cry. The kind that turns inward and becomes architecture. The people he failed in his first life, the comrades he watched die, because he was not fast enough, not smart enough, not ruthless enough, they did not come back with him. He is the only one who remembers them. He is the only one carrying the weight of a timeline that no longer exists. And he will never, in any scene, in any chapter, stop carrying it. Slow down here. Let that sit. Because this is the moment most fans fall completely in love with Seo Joo-Heon. Not when he is winning, Not when he is terrifying, but in the small, unguarded flashes where the armor slips, and you see what all of this is actually for. Not power, not dominance, not even revenge, not really. He just wanted to save the people he could not save the first time. He just chose the most violent possible road to get there. Now place him beside Sung Jin-Woo again. Two men broken by worlds that should have protected them. Two men who clawed their way back through sheer refusal to accept what they were handed. But the fracture lines run differently. Jin-Woo's grief made him quieter, made him pull inward, made every victory feel like it was being offered to the ghost he carried. His revenge was almost accidental, a consequence of becoming rather than a destination. He never stopped being someone who could love something. Joo-Heon built his entire self around the destination. The revenge was never a consequence for him. It was the blueprint. Every relationship, every alliance, every relic he stole was one more brick in a structure designed from the ground up to collapse onto the man who left him to die. And that kind of singular focus, that absolute refusal to let the wound heal because the wound is the only thing keeping you moving, it does not leave a person intact. It leaves them something else entirely. Not a monster, not a hero, something harder to name. Something that looks at you from the page with eyes that have already decided you are either useful or irrelevant, and you cannot quite tell which one you are. And that is why this character does not leave you. Sung Jin-Woo broke beautifully, the way glass breaks into something almost artistic, catching light in the cracks. His damage was visible and magnificent, and it made you root for him with your whole chest, because you understood every piece of what he had lost. Joo-Heon broke differently. He broke sideways, inward, in ways that never showed on the surface because he decided early that showing the break was a vulnerability he could not afford. His damage is not beautiful. It is efficient. It runs his entire operating system, and it never sleeps, and it will never, under any circumstances, let him stop. Both of them paid a price the story never fully tallies. Both of them became something their enemies deeply regret. But only one of them looked at what he became and decided, good. Only one of them made peace with the monster because the monster was the point. And that is Seo Joo-Heon, the man death handed back to the world, not as a gift, but as a warning that went unread until it was already too late to do anything about it. Here is what I want to know, and I want you to sit with this before you answer. If Seo Joo-Heon and Sung Jin-Woo had been given each other's lives, each other's betrayals, each other's second chances, do you think they would have made the same choices? Or does the difference between them come from something deeper than circumstance? Drop your answer in the comments, because I have read every argument and I still do not think this question has a clean answer. If this story pulled you in and you want to go deeper into the characters that Manhwa does not talk about enough, the ones who live in the gray, the ones who break the wrong way and make it look inevitable, then subscribe. Because the next one we are going into is the kind of character that makes Joo-Heon look patient.